You guys obviously know that every day we need to eat food, and we need that food for energy because our body cannot make its own food like plants can. Plants make food and produce the oxygen we breathe by photosynthesis. We're just going to look at the basics of photosynthesis. It actually gets pretty complicated when you look at it at a cellular level. The leaves in plants contain the structures that make photosynthesis work, and those structures are called chloroplasts. A leaf has about 500,000 chloroplasts per square millimeter. We're actually going to take a look at those later in the week underneath the microscopes. Each of those chloroplasts contains a green pigment called chlorophyll, and it's that chlorophyll that gives the leaf its green color. The chlorophyll is pretty important because it absorbs the energy from the sun. It traps that light energy. At the same time, air enters through the openings in the leaf, and water comes in from the roots. So photosynthesis takes three things at the beginning. It takes three reactants. Light energy from the sun, air, specifically it's going to use carbon dioxide, and water. The chloroplasts are chemical factories powered by the sun. They take that carbon dioxide from the air, the energy that the chlorophyll just trapped, and the water, and changes them into oxygen and sugar. Oxygen and sugar are the products of photosynthesis. That oxygen is released back through those openings out into the environment so that we can breathe it. The plant uses the sugars that it makes to make it grow. Luckily for us, it doesn't use all of its food. And those leftover sugars are stored in stems, seeds, fruit, and roots. If you take a look at this picture, I'm sure you've eaten a lot of those. Photosynthesis is a very important process because it supports life. Without it, we wouldn't get our oxygen and we wouldn't get much of the food that we intake. Here's a cheesy little song that might help sum everything up for you.
If you want to know how a plant grows, it takes water, air and sunlight and makes cellulose. Every plant can do this fundamental process, and we can call this photosynthesis. Unlike me and you, plants need CO2, and they make oxygen that stops us turning blue. Every plant can do this fundamental process, and we can call this photosynthesis. It's a miracle how all the chlorophyll captures sunlight in the leaves of the plants and the trees. A plant of any size can do it if it tries, but we're not green so we can't photosynthesize. Every plant can do this fundamental process, and we can call this photosynthesis. It's a miracle how all the chlorophyll captures sunlight in the leaves of the plants and the trees. Every plant can do this fundamental process, and we can call this photosynthesis. Every plant can do this fundamental process, and we can call this photosynthesis. Photosynthesis.